the study that we are going to do is the epistle of First Peter. Okay, and today I wanted to keep it comparatively light. We won't dive much in because we are just starting off, but we will kind of set the ground. Okay, for how we plan to approach this, how we plan to actually take it forward. The approach to the study is also an important thing than the study itself. So there are some basics about even Bible study that I'll just share, and we can then prepare ourselves accordingly. Okay. So here on screen, I have put up the title, the epistle of First Peter. So an expositional study. So you all are aware of what an expositional study is? You all must have heard this term, na? So, but what do you think? What is an expositional study of the Bible, or expository study? Sometimes people say. You all must have heard of this term, an expositional study of the Bible, and there are some preachers who do these expositional studies. Okay, let us look at the definition of it. Okay, so drawing out the correct meaning of the passage. Okay, one second. Drawing out the correct meaning of the passage. It seems like a very obvious thing. Like all studies will obviously aim to draw out the correct meaning of the passage only. Nobody is trying to draw out the wrong meaning of the passage. Okay, but here it is drawing out the correct meaning of the passage as the author intended to write. The author had an intention while writing this passage, and that intention, the intention of the author, the meaning that the author and the Holy Spirit through the author wanted to convey in the context of that situation is what we are aiming to get at. Okay, so many people, when they think of an expositional study, they also think of a verse by verse study. Like you go verse by verse, one verse, two verse, you go very slowly. So people consider or call that also an expositional study, and that is right. But that is a characteristic of an expositional study. Okay. Okay. A verse by verse study with correct context. Okay. A verse by verse study with correct context also can be considered to be an expositional study of the Bible. Now, to better explain this concept, I'll go to the next slide. Okay, these are types of studies and sermons that generally happen. Okay, if you look at, if you sit in church also, there are particular types. So this is somewhat a very summarized table. This is generally a topic called homiletics. If you ever are interested in knowing more, homiletics is you can say the art of preaching or teaching. That is what homiletics is. So here, the types of study: expository, textual, and topical. I made 3 tables. Okay, whenever there is a study that happens, okay, there is a theme. There are the major points, and then there are the minor points. Now the theme is the theme of the whole study. Okay, for 1 hour, whoever the teacher is teaching, what the theme is. The theme may be love. Okay, for example. Okay, which within that theme, the major points that the preacher or the teacher is trying to teach, those major points, and then the minor points are the sub points. After the theme, there are the major points, and then the sub points within each major point. There will be 3 or 4 more smaller points. Okay, that is the minor points. Okay, that is on this side of the table. That is what we have. Okay, on the other side is expository, textual, and topical. So in expository, the whole theme is from the Bible text. Like the theme of the passage itself is the theme of the study. Okay, that is in expository. The major points are also from the Bible. Okay, and the minor points are also from the Bible. Everything is as the author intended it to be. Okay, that is the basic concept here. When you look at the textual way of studying, textual is again when somebody takes a passage and preaches from it. Okay, but generally if you look at a passage, there are 3 or 4 major themes that may come out of a single passage, because maybe there is a talking about love also in a passage, and that same passage talks about maybe suffering also. Okay, both these concepts are intertwined within that same passage. So when somebody is doing a textual study, the person doing the study will decide the theme that I want to preach on love on this passage. Okay, or I want to preach on suffering, or I want to preach on how to be a witness. So this is the theme, and then according to that theme, the major points will be from the biblical text, and the minor points will be from the biblical text. This is a textual study that is done. Okay, a third type of study is a topical study, where even the theme is decided by the teacher, but even the major points are decided by the teacher. Means a topical text is when I preach on love, but I take from various passages across the Bible. I will take from maybe the Old Testament the concept of love. I will take from the New Testament the concept of love. And the minor points, because I'm actually picking these points from various places, these small points, they are from the Bible text. So that is what a topical study is. So on Sundays in church and all, we get to hear a lot of topical studies, topical messages, you can say, sermons, and sometimes textual sermons. The expository is comparatively rare. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm aiming for expository, but I will always be coming to textual also sometimes. Like there will be certain themes I will be pushing, which might be very applicable to us or relevant to us. That also I'll sometimes push in, but my goal will be to do expository teaching. So if you want to, as a reference, somebody you want, a good preacher who was a master of expository preaching is Martin Lloyd-Jones. Okay, he was a modern Irish preacher, and there are a lot of his sermons on YouTube. So his when he speaks on Romans, his first sermon is on Romans chapter 1, verse 1, and the first two words. His first sermon is on I, Paul, and he just speaks on that. So that is how he goes. He preaches like 7 years Romans, 8 years on some other book. That is how he preaches. And he'll have like numerous sermons where he preaches that in church. And he is a very like a pure expository teacher where he goes purely verse by verse and from the correct context. So I'm spending a long time on this, but we are laying a foundation so that our approach, you are understanding how I'm teaching. Okay, so you also know how to process it. Okay, what to expect, where I'm coming from. Okay, so this is the next question that I'm asking. Why should we study the Bible? So everybody, we all of us have come and we have actually joined the study, and we are interested in studying the Bible, of course. But this is a question that I'm asking. You can unmute and say interaction is good. In Zoom, it is tricky, but interaction is good. So you can please unmute, or there is a raise your hand option also that you can do when I'm speaking. Just raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Why should we study the Bible? Can anybody answer this? To
know God better.
Yeah, so Cheryl has answered it, to know God better. Okay, so that is the very correct answer to this question. We are not studying the Bible for general Bible knowledge, okay, or to do well in church quizzes, or just to feel good about ourselves. But the ultimate goal is to know God better. Like what Peter is talking or revealing about God through even some practical instructions. Those instructions are actually reflecting the nature of God. So we have to look for God, okay, and in all of these verses, though it may not directly talk about God, but it is indirectly always talking about God. God is the whole platform on which these verses are built. So that is our main goal. When we study the Bible, our goal is to know God. Okay, but knowing God is not enough. Okay, because God calls us to more, obey. He says to follow God. Okay, so our knowledge of God, if you have true, genuine knowledge of God, if you are actually know God in the correct way, you automatically will follow God. Okay. Generally, many people who know God and don't follow God they are not actually knowing God in the correct way, because that is who our God is. He's majestic, He's powerful. Of course, we have our sinful bodies, because of which we find it difficult to follow God, even after knowing God. That is there, but still, there will always be a continuous pull to follow God, to obey. Okay. So these two, let us keep this as a goal in mind. We want to get a strong grip of First Peter, but we want to know God and follow God. Okay. So when we are doing this study, we'll go slow. We are not in a hurry. We'll try to be consistent, but okay. So how to approach the study? Again, I'm going on and on this only, these points. But my goal is that I want to get you excited. Maybe have a notebook. The first thing is commit. Commit yourself. Okay. 2 Timothy 2:15. I put a verse on screen. So it says, do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who has no need to be ashamed, rightly handling the word of truth. Okay, God is calling us to do our best. Okay, and present ourselves approved by God. Okay, that is what God calls us to. And that is in a way this verse has deep meaning, but there is a commitment that God calls us to. Okay, He wants us to put our best forth. So the thing is that if we are participating in the study, it is good to. Okay, I think Jackson is also. Uh, I will have to make the setting of this such that people can join without having to wait out. Okay, so Jackson also is joining in. Okay, so first is commit. Okay, because all success in life. Okay, this concept even stands for the world. So all success in life is for those who are committed long term, consistent long term. So that should be our prayer and our goal. That when we are studying Peter, our goal should be for long term commitment and long term dedication. That over time we will decide to set apart time and make a proper thorough study. Okay, second is make notes. Okay, now the verse here I have put is Deuteronomy 6:8-9. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand. Okay, these are the commandments of God. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Okay. God also in the Old Testament calls to write. Okay. If you're at your workplace, when you are in an important conference call, all my conference calls I record on my mobile phone. And then later on I go and listen and then I make notes of it. Otherwise, it's very difficult for me to summarize what has happened in the call because you forget certain points, especially when action is needed. And all that we are studying, this habit should not only be for this study, but anytime we are in any sermon and all, even this is a problem that I have. I'm not so consistent at making notes. But we should strive. So let us strive and improve and try and make at least some notes. I will also be sharing these notes, but I think you should have a kind of a book in which you should make your notes. Okay. Another is revise. Okay. So Joshua 1:8 says, the book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. So unless you revise or you say meditate, okay, after this has happened, maybe you skim through Peter, take a small part of what we have studied, think about it. Think about what it means to you. Think about what the author was actually trying to say. And when you spend time with it, the higher is the chance of you praying over it, praying about the concepts that you meditate on, and the chance of you doing it also increases. Okay, so here even this verse says that you meditate on the word, on the book of the law, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. Okay, so this is one more thing. So the last one is practice. Okay, be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourself. Okay, this is the biggest danger, that when you are enrolling for a Bible study, okay, let us not be hypocrites. Okay, it's better when you are attending, you attend, and if you are attending and then not doing, you are endangering yourself. You are bringing judgment upon yourself. Okay, so I'm in a way scaring you, but we have to be. My main point here is we have to be doers of the word, not hearers only. Okay, because we can hear from this here and it goes here. Why are we wasting 1 hour studying this if you are not going to do it, if you are not going to apply it? It's a waste of time. You can go and watch Netflix. Your time will be used better. So all of this, the time that you're investing, okay, only comes to fruition when you do this. You revise, you practice, you meditate on it, and you're committed to it. So that is our approach. That is our general approach to all things in life. Okay, or even our work or anything that you do, that is a godly approach that we must have. But especially for the word of God, when we are studying it or when we are dealing with it, it is exceptionally important for us to, do it. Okay. And okay, so now let's go to the next slide.